to discuss expressionism art movement. It originated in Germany. The expressionists insisted that art should express the artist's feelings rather than images of the real world. That's what they wanted to do in this movement. From 1905 to 1930 is the period of expressionism. The use of distorted, exaggerated forms and colors for emotional impact dominated German art. As its name suggests, expressionism characterized by the use of paint to depict and exaggerate emotions and feelings. Prior to this, artists were more focused on capturing what is physically in front of us rather than what goes in our minds. Expressionism is an artistic style in which artists seeks to depict not objective reality but rather than subjective emotions and responses that objects and events arouse within a person. The artist accomplishes the aim through distortion, exaggeration, primitivism, and fantasy through vivid jarring, violent, or dynamic application of formal elements. In a broader sense, expressionism is one of the main currents of art in the late 19th and early 20th century, and its qualities of highly subjective, personal, spontaneous self-expressionism are typical of a wide range of modern art and movements. Expressionism can also be seen as a permanent tendency in Germanic and Nordic art from at least the European Middle Ages, particularly in time of social change or spiritual crisis, and in this sense it forms the converse of the rationalist and classicizing tendencies of Italy and later France. Famous expressionist paintings are, of course, Edvard Munch's The Scream, Vasily Kandinsky's The Blue Rider, and Egon Schiele's Sitting Woman with the Legs Drawn Up, and there's a lot more. Early stage of expressionism are Norwegian painter and an important inspiration for the German expressionist movement was Edvard Munch. He spent time in Paris where he learned from impressionist and post-impressionist art. Munch's most productive period was from 1892 to 1908 in Berlin. There he produced etchings, lithographs, and woodcuts that express modern anguish with unequaled power. Munch specialized in portraying extreme emotions like jealousy, sexual desire, and loneliness. He aimed to induce a strong reaction in his viewers, saying, "I want to paint pictures that will make people take off their hats the way they do in church." His most famous work, The Scream, represents intolerable fear of losing one's mind. Every line in the painting heaves with agitation, setting up turbulent rhythms with no relief for the eye. The main artists often associated with expressionists were Vincent van Gogh, Paul Gauguin, and Henri Matisse. Though Van Gogh and Gauguin were active in the years slightly before what is regarded as the main period of expressionism, they can without a doubt be regarded as expressionist artists who were painting the world around them not simply as it appeared to, but from a deeply subjective human experience. Expressive colors and styles of brushworks to depict emotions and experiences, moving away from realistic depictions of their subjects to how they felt and perceived them. In Germany, expressionism is particularly associated with Bruch and the Blaureiter groups. German expressionism art took inspiration from mysticism, the Middle Ages, primitive times, and the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche, whose ideas were immensely popular and influential at that time. Bruch was formed in Dresden in 1905 as a bohemian collective of expressionist artists opposing the bourgeois social order of Germany. The four founding members were Ernst Ludwig Kirchner, Fritz Bleyl, Erich Heckel, and Carl Schmidt Rottluff, none of whom had received a formal art education. They choose their name Bruch to describe their desire to bridge the past and the present. The name was inspired by a passage from Friedrich Nietzsche, Thus Spoke Zarathustra. The artist attempted to escape the confines of modern middle-class life by exploring a heightened use of color, a direct, simplified approach to form and free sexuality in their work. The Blue Rider was founded in 1911 by Vasily Kandinsky and Franz Marc. In the face of increasing alienation they experienced due to modernizing world, they sought to transcend the mundane by pursuing the spiritual value of art. Moreover, they aim to break down the boundaries between, in their eyes, closely related phenomena such as art, children's art, folk art, and ethnography. The name The Blue Rider is related to the recurring rider on horseback theme from Kandinsky's Moonish period, as well as to Kandinsky's and Mark's love of the color blue, which for them held spiritual qualities. Egon Schiele and Oskar Kokoschka are the two main figures of Austrian Expressionism. They were especially influenced by their predecessor Gustav Klimt, who also had a hand in launching their careers due to exhibitions he created, showcasing the best of contemporary Austrian art. Both expressionist artists live in the contradictory Vienna of the late 19th and early 20th century, where moral repression and sexual hypocrisy played a part in the development of expressionism art there. The main characteristics of expressionism art, what I noticed in the art is the color, the usage of the color. They are using a vibrant that often resembles the unreal that is not directly representing the reality. It is one of the main characteristics of the art. To emphasize the subjective point of view by the concept of using thick distorted lines, and that enhance the features and the strong marking of their art or paintings with no linear effect to it. The lines as well are some perhaps to twist, some to create shapes. For some it might be aggressive and emphasizing or seeing the shapes that is expressed through it by the lines that is thick, and there is some angles to it. They are focusing in the subjective aspects to it. It reflects to the emotions and feelings of what is the subject is portraying to. Maybe the scream came from the life experience of the author itself. The Starry Night by Van Gogh, or the perception of the author through what he sees in the bedroom of the hospital at that time. The next concept, or the heavy feeling or the negative feeling, are also one of the characteristics that I have noticed, like loneliness, jealousy, fear or something, or maybe some bad experience in the past portrays to it. Expressing the freedom, the movement focus on subjective perspective. It expresses individual freedom through the concept of subjectivity. Irrationalism by the concept of it allows the knowledge of everybody who is seeing that is external to the author itself, and the irrationalism concept are portrays as well. It is opposite of what is rational. One trait of expressionism art movement is to present the words only from a subjective perspective, like what the idea of the scream. It's very similar to it, and distorting it radically for emotional effect in order to emphasize moods or ideas, and expressionists have sought to express the meaning of emotional experience rather than physical reality. Even in modern art, expressionism was highly influenced.